Good morning. We're taking a look at guncalendars.com, where we attempt to archive our daily firearms history. And now, this year, we're taking a look week by week. We'll look back at what happened last week, and we'll take a look at what's coming up in the future. So it's February 21st, and starting last Sunday, we had the Ambassador Academy. Very interesting concept where people get together in Florida and train as Second Amendment advocates, as gun influencers, as industry reps, and as professional shooters, and then I think in self-defense. So various aspects of firearms and media and advocacy all brought together to increase skill sets and then collaborate, and really looking forward to the reviews on how that goes. We had the anniversary of the birth of Dick Casoul, who's famous for the .454 Casoul caliber, as well as being the person who brought to life the modern mini production revolver, as well as the largest production revolver in modern days. So we also had the anniversary of the passing of Maxwell Atkinson, I don't know how to say his name, who invented a whole bunch of things actually, but as well as the AA-12. And then we had the anniversary of the passing of Garand, born in Canada, invented the Garand, and then gave the patent to the United States. We missed Tuesday when we did this last week, and I think the only thing we missed here is that there's some weird coincidences where the 1911 is both invented and patented in February, but on different years. So we missed it because they're so similar. But then Atkinson is similarly confusing because he was born on February 17th in 1930, and then passed away on February 15th, just 2 days before his birthday in 2003. So he died while he was 73 years old, just 2 days before his 74th birthday. And then, of course, we joined eBay back in the day. So I missed that day last week when we were looking at the calendar. But then we also had the anniversary of the Coast Guard, and it turns out I have this wrong, and I'll probably edit this by the time we're posting this, but it was actually their 80th birthday this year, so our Coast Guard Reserve. So for those of you that aren't paying attention to what our Coast Guard and the Coast Guard Reserve do, this is an awesome opportunity to look into it, and very unsung folks, heroes. We have the anniversary of the birth of Dragunov, a famous communist who built a rifle that all of us wish we could have because it's difficult to obtain here. We have the anniversary of the Tie-Hart Amendment, which is Kansas representative brought an amendment forth, and it became a law that stops the accessibility of firearms crimes records to the public, and specifically which gun shops are corrupt or selling guns to criminals. They wanted to keep the bill, or the amendment is to keep that information behind need to know basis, basically, so that criminals don't just get a shopping list of where to go buy guns criminally. Interesting type of law. Always interested in hearing the comments on those, ones that don't get a lot of attention. We had the Second Amendment rally last night. It's happening right now. I'm filming this ahead of time if you can't tell. So we had the Second Amendment rally yesterday as you're watching this. So hopefully you watch this live coverage from the event, and all kinds of awesome things probably happened. Today is the anniversary of the passing of Robin Moore, and I can start now to open these things up and pay a little bit more attention since we're now looking at this coming week. So Robin Moore is, I think, most famous for most people as being the guy that wrote The Ballad of the Green Berets, but he's also written a couple other books which have become movies. He's also an adventurer, a guy with an interesting and thankfully successful life that is on our side, so that was good. And like I say, there's people that suggest that, like James Bond or Bourne, whatever that movie was, that those are based off of real life people, and from what I understand, this is one of those types of people. We have Eugene Rising, anniversary of his passing in 1967. He was born in 1884, and if I remember correctly, I'm not rushed into some of this history, but I don't retain it all. But I believe this is one of the guys that worked with Browning and others, and is one of the most regarded inventor or tinkerer, mechanics, gunsmith, inventors. I don't know if he's got a heck of a lot of, maybe he's not the guy I'm thinking of, so I won't try to say nothing more than it's the day that his anniversary, his passing. We've got CCW and national parks. So in 2010, Obama passed some laws, and federal laws, and in those was the withdrawal of prohibition of concealed carriers to enter national parks. So national parks are different than national forests. Forests typically cover a lot more area, while parks are typically like around a specific monument or feature, well, not a monument, but a feature or a regional natural resource, like the geyser at Yellowstone, like the saguaro cactuses here in Tucson, where the rest of Arizona would be forest and managed by a larger, broader strokes. The parks are gated and protected for their specific natural resource. I think that's the way to summarize it. So as a citizen walking into national property, we have national laws that govern us as well as the state laws that would affect us. And in 2010, Obama, it's not like he intended to do this from what I remember, it just was set up and he couldn't do nothing about it. But correct me if I'm wrong, this is before I was 2A. But basically he had to sign this thing, and in part of it, it allowed this removal of a prohibition, which would allow those of us with CCW permits to enter national parks and utilize the national park. However, because the buildings on national parks are still federal property, or federal buildings, our rights are infringed on. We're not allowed to carry in any federal building, and that's been a federal law for a long, long time. And there's no need for it. It's just an unreasonable fear of what gun owners were or could be, and it's unchallenged, and it's the reason why they're able to push at us and we don't push enough offense. So that's why we have gun calendars, so we can gripe about things that have happened even when they're good. All right, and then we also have the anniversary of New Hampshire passing constitutional carry. So we have some other constitutional carry states this month. Did we just get, I forget now, Indiana and someplace? But New Hampshire got constitutional carry back in 2017. Congratulations, and nobody ever talks about New Hampshire very much. Coming up in the week, we have anniversaries of, I guess that was Monday already, so we're going into Tuesday. We have the anniversaries of Ludwig Vorgrum or something, who invented the set-me. This is for Night Strike. So if you've ever been to guntube.org, the guy that runs it has a set-me, I think, and I was thinking Night Strike when I look at that one. So, because he has one of them guns. So, let's see, what else we got? 223 Day. Oh, what am I paying attention to? Nothing here. It's February 23rd, so that makes it 223. And for those of you that don't like communist metric, this is your day. 223 Day. This is a good day to appreciate your 223s. And I would normally say shoot them, but that might not be practical. So maybe it's a good day to oil them up and look at them and talk about them and make a video about them and post something on Instagram about them. More importantly, a real anniversary that matters is in 1945, a bunch of Marines got sick of it and went up to the top of this hill and put one of our flags up there. And somebody took a picture of it, and it embodied what happened on Iwo Jima. Let's see, then we got James Paris died, and I can't remember what James Lee Paris, inventor of the action and magazine used in the Lee Metford and Lee Enfield. Oh, how could I have forgotten? He was some guy in Europe, I guess, and was born in 1831, and I guess he died in February in 1904. So a bunch of people that like bolt action guns know what that means. Now we have the Barrett. This is a rifle. It's 50 BMG. It makes some people weep just to think about it. I've heard that it's as heavy as 50. No, it's not as heavy as 50 boxes. The bullet that the Barrett uses, though, is used in another gun that's as heavy as 50 boxes, or 10 boxes you might move. Anyway, the Barrett was adopted as the state rifle of Tennessee for a brief moment in time between 2014 or 12 maybe and 16, somewhere in there. A couple of states kind of started to outdo themselves, or a bunch of people got motivated, is a better, accurate way of saying it, and they encouraged their states to incorporate or adopt a state firearm. I don't know, try to remember the order now, but there's I think 6 of them, and Tennessee I think was the last one with the Barrett, although it probably isn't now that I'm thinking. Oh no, maybe it is. And anyway, that's something we want to keep in the calendar, because how cool would it be to see some momentum on that again? Is it unnecessary? Is it a waste of time? Sure, in a lot of ways maybe, but so is carrying a flag into battle, and so is playing a flute into battle. Sometimes you just do stuff because it's cool, and it helps out with things you don't think about. So, state flag of Tennessee, or I mean the state rifle of Tennessee. What would your state rifle be? Is that a rhyme? I didn't intend it to be a rhyme. Let's see. Next up would be Colt's first revolving firearm. So, if I can get Frank out of the way, we'll get Colt's first revolving firearm patent. It was going to be, let's see, Wednesday the 25th, back in 1836. The story goes that Colt, he got in trouble as a kid, so his dad stuck him on a boat to have to go work on a boat. While he was out there not working or something on a boat, he seen how the boat mechanism or steering wheel on a boat works, and he started to whittle out a contraption that would allow him to use that mechanism in a revolving derringer, basically a revolving bunch of chambers, black powder chambers that would revolve, but the problem was they wouldn't lock into place at the barrel, so you had to kind of hold them. So he created a ratcheting system that would allow it to lock into place and rotate to the next one each time you pull back on the hammer, which would close on the firing pin. So he got back to shore, I guess, at some point, and invented it, and that was in 1836. And I think there's a wooden version of this that was interesting to look at, but I think that stuff is in Connecticut at a museum. Then we get Frank Fiamongo, I don't know how to say his name. So he was born back in 1949. He's the founder of the New Jersey Second Amendment Society, the NJ2AS, and I think he's not any longer the president, but people that found our state level organizations are doing good work. So it's, when I can, and it's not embarrassing or weird or something, I'll try to let people know when to wish them a happy birthday or good wishes or whatever it is. We then get to Friday of next week, or this coming week, which will be the anniversary of the birth of Buffalo Bill and the anniversary of the death of Richard Gatling. So Gatling invented this crazy machine gun, and I guess allegedly died on February 26th of 1903. I say allegedly because that guy's got an interesting history. I think it's him, or am I thinking of Maxim? Next up, we get Buffalo Bill, born in Kansas, born in Iowa. Eventually started up the Wild West show in Nebraska, and then moved it to Wyoming. Created people like Annie Oakley and a bunch of other exhibition shooters. Brought the culture of the West and the frontier, the American front, the United States frontier, to the world on a traveling show. He's got a pretty awesome museum. Unfortunately, the firearms at it I can never recommend. But Buffalo Bill, born in, let's see what date, 18 something. That didn't work. This is the bad part about stuff that I don't edit. This much into the video, you're getting this without me going back and redoing the whole video. Born in 1846, 10 years before Smith & Wesson would invent the 22 short. Can you imagine living in a world without even a 22 short? That dude did it, got a bunch of people together, started going around and showing people what it's like to be on the frontier in a dramatized way, but in a summarized, quick way of offering the culture and the experience of our American frontier West. Started to do that in such a way that it was figured out it was successful, honed his craft, eventually took that to the world as an ambassador of our culture and our country. Did that when he was born, before the cartridge was even invented. Let's see, we got the Browning bar demonstrated to the U.S. Army. So a couple of minutes after the cartridge was invented, Browning brought us everything good. And one of those things was the bar, the Browning automatic rifle. And at some point, the wars were happening, and Browning said, let's put a quick end to this. So he created the bar, I guess, in 1906, and then eventually showed it off by the Army, and they adapted it in 1917. There's probably other histories that might be more accurate than that, but I'm not trying to be the facts. We're just trying to show you where we come from and potentially where we're going. I might be missing some events in this. If you know of any events that we're missing in the calendar, let us know so that we can add them. That's the point, is to have something daily for our firearms history and to let people know about what's coming. Next week, this time, we'll be talking about this again. It is the anniversary of the passing of Derringer, the guy who invented the single-shot tiny, well, made different sizes, but originally the tiny single-shot Derringers, and of course, people put an extra R in there, and his name carries on with all small single-shot, single-action, usually pistols. We then got the anniversary of the birth, finally, another birth of William Fairbairn. He is a pretty cool dude, born in 1885, a long time ago, ended up being a British Marine, Royal Marine, whatever that is, then moved to Shanghai at the turn of the century and dealt with street fightings. A lot of getting shot, a lot of getting stabbed, a lot of knife fighting, a lot of hand-to-hand fighting. Took that experience, or was tasked to take that experience along with another guy to the training the operatives, the spies, and the elite folks who were needing the skills of quick dispatch and quick kills on hand-to-hand or knife type of silent killing and quick, effective violence. So interesting character, and again with Sykes, they created the kind of the style and the fighting techniques of the OSS, and that would of course become the CIA and our special operations techniques, well, for a long time at least from what I understand. So this guy had to be born, and he was born on February 28th back in 1885, born 30 years after the cartridge. Isn't that crazy? We take a lot of stuff for granted in the year 20-something. All right, so now we get to February 28th, and we have the anniversary of the Brady Bill. So the Brady Bill, most people don't think about it. Brady was a guy who was a Secret Service guy, and Reagan got shot, and everybody remembers the Uzis and Reagan's interesting rapport with the doctors and whatnot. Brady was a guy who got shot as a Secret Service agent, I think. Maybe he was a secretary or something. And then I think he was a secretary or something. I don't remember anymore. But I was a little kid. He got shot. I guess I wasn't a little kid, but he got shot and never recovered. I think he was disabled, paralyzed, and the Brady campaign became an organization against rights that was focused around that event, his tragedy. And the guy, of course, that shot Reagan was working for Jodie Foster in his mind. And it was a whole crazy thing, but instead of diverting attention towards the mental health situation or Hollywood or that kind of thing, they decided to use it as a way to exploit an attack on individual freedom to own property. And the Brady Act was this idea that if you make guns difficult to obtain or like a vice, shameful to possess, that you would somehow curtail criminals from preying on innocent victims. So they created a thing called the Brady Bill, and it was a horribly written federal law that was crammed through on the back of emotional appeals and no thinking or foresight, and it eventually became what's known as federal crap, because a sheriff here in Arizona and another sheriff in someplace up north Dakota or something got together and said to the federal government, you cannot task the local sheriffs with doing this BS work, no matter if it's good or bad. You can't task a sheriff with doing federal work. You have to do the work yourself. So the Brady Bill lasted only 3 years. It was a horrible situation, poorly written law. We should never forget the situation that they used to create it. Of course, the way that they used it to push it through and to bully tactic it in, that it was poorly written, and they should not be shouldn't get a pass because they write law that's bad. Their only job is to decide what laws should or shouldn't exist and then create it when necessary. And if they can't create it correctly, then they're not doing their job effectively, and they should have been removed. Now, unfortunately, or fortunately, they were. A lot of them were. The couple of few that still exist from back then, you know who they are. So, this is the beginning of the Brady Bill. It ended quickly, again, because it was so bad, and then the Nix came around. So as soon as they wrote it and crammed it through, they knew it wouldn't last. As soon as it was challenged, people can yell and scream at the NRA, but who do you think challenged it? I guess magicians and unicorns. And then they started writing Nix and creating the Nix system, which is also unnecessary and useless. Let's talk about that next time, shall we? This is guncalendars.com, where we blab on for this time 20 minutes. So this isn't really scripted. It might seem pretty polished and scripted, but it isn't. This is something that we do in an attempt to remember where we came from, on whose shoulders we stand, and to see what's coming next, not just in the anniversaries and holidays and stuff that are coming up, but also firearms events, industry events, hopefully some rallies once they start to happen again, and more. We have training events, and we have industry events on the rise. So with all that, we want to thank our Patreons, the people that subscribe to what we do, the people that make it possible for us to do what we do. If you like what we're doing, consider checking us out on Patreon. If you don't like it, I don't know why you're watching this. You're basically stealing our content. Let us know in the comments what you think. Sometimes we do these. We used to do them daily. Now we do them monthly. Let us know what you think. Till next time. Thanks for watching.